Yes, dear viewers, good evening. Welcome you once again on today's live show, which is organized by Prominent Consultant. And you know that every day we are doing live session with all our partner universities, especially from Canada. And today we have with us one of our closest partner from Canada, which is from Newfoundland. It's a public university, and you know very well about this name. I don't want to mention. You can see on the that on the picture, and you can see the beautiful persons with me. So it's a Memorial University, which is a very famous university, and so far I believe that because of the affordable fees, it is quite popular to all of our students, and truly it's a very affordable university. And the thing is that the reputation also, I mean, in terms of ranking, in terms of everything, it's one of the best university, not only in Canada, all over the world. So I have three-person today in today's live who have joined in this live, and truly, honestly speaking, they are all my favorite persons. I have been in touch with them since long. So here, April is here, Melissa is here. Melissa is superb in terms of giving ESL offer letter. I mean, so fast I am getting the ESL offer letter, and also Thomas. I mean, he looks like a hero. Definitely, my elder son told me, and he's really a fantastic guy. We have met over him in Dhaka city last February. So Thomas, April, and Melissa, I would like to welcome you all in this live session. So can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, exactly. So Thomas, would you please introduce yourself to our viewers and say hello?
Okay, so hi guys. As I said, my name is Thomas Young. I'm the International Recruitment Officer for Grenfell campus. So my role, is mainly in traveling. Of course, given the current health situation, I haven't been doing much traveling. But I usually am kind of the boots on the ground, the person who goes in and meets students and kind of gives information about our programming, fees, tuition, all the things that you're going to learn about over the next little while here. So normally I would be doing this in person, but of course you'll have to settle for me here today. And yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, we've been working with Prominent Consultant for a while now. I was in Dhaka in February. That was February 29th, I believe. So I say.
9th, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so I was there for February. I may have met some of you who are watching here today. So yeah, hopefully if you do have any questions, you'll likely be talking to me during the session.
Definitely. And April, would you please introduce yourself and say hello to our viewers?
Hi, everyone. My name is April Crocker. So I oversee the Office of Student Recruitment at Grenfell campus. So while Thomas is normally out traveling around, I often answer emails and respond to application inquiries and help Saeed with any questions he may have. So that's me.
Exactly. And Melissa, now your turn.
Hi, everybody. My name is Melissa Halford. I oversee the English as a Second Language programs at Grenfell campus. So in case any of you don't have the IELTS or TOEFL scores to get directly into undergraduate study, you can consider coming through our ESL programs and earning credit alongside your English language instruction time.
Exactly. And dear viewers, thanks for joining in this live session. Who are already watching the live session, please don't forget to share this live session in your timeline. I know there are a lot of people connected with you, are interested for Canada and especially for Memorial University. And today we will talk about only for the Grenfell campus, because Memorial has two campuses. One is St. John's and the other one is Grenfell. So we'll be talking about for in this live session Grenfell campus, and it will be till another 1 hour. We'll try to make this live session, and it will be completely informative session. We'll try to give each and every part of Memorial University of Newfoundland. And so Melissa, April, we'll just have a video first. Shall we have a video of Memorial University to get some idea, to give them some idea? Let's for the video. Okay, let's look at that video. Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Keshin and I'm the Vice President of the Grenfell campus. I want to welcome you to our campus, which is located on the western coast of Newfoundland. Grenfell offers graduate and undergraduate programs. Our campus is small with about 1,300 students, which means that you'll get to know your profs one-on-one. The library isn't your ordinary library. They host events, they provide spaces for networking and collaboration, and our librarians go out of their way to ensure that you get the support that you need. Residence is the heart of student life on campus. More than half our students live here. Housing is affordable, it's safe, and it's convenient, close to all the amenities that you will frequent.
The School of Fine Arts has been shaping the culture of the province for more than 25 years. Our alumni are employed in theatre, film, TV, as curators, animators, art therapists, even video game designers. And it's hard to beat our campus in Harlow, England. Our students travel there as part of their program to learn from professionals in the UK and take in all the galleries, theatres, and cultural spots that London has to offer.
Our students work closely with their professors in labs, in classrooms, and in the field. And this means in boreal forests, in agricultural fields, as well as in the urban and rural communities. Most of our programs have an environmental focus, but we also offer programming in computational mathematics and physics with state-of-the-art equipment. We have one of the largest telescopes in Atlantic Canada, which is used by students in the physics and math programs, and is also available for use by researchers and for tours by the general public.
Our nursing students engage with real patients in clinical settings right from the first year of the program. Our program is challenging and competitive, but it is also incredibly rewarding. Our graduates are members of the largest and most in-demand group of healthcare providers, improving and changing lives in all corners of the world.
Investigating the world we live in and finding new ways to live sustainably are key objectives of our researchers, many of whom are active in fields related to our natural environment, tackling issues such as making Newfoundland and Labrador's food supply more viable and enhancing food security, or understanding and adapting to climate change. Grenfell offers graduate programming in boreal ecosystems and agricultural sciences and environmental policy, and we'll be expanding our graduate program offerings in the future.
The School of Arts and Social Science has an interesting mix of disciplines, everything from business administration and humanities to psychology and English. There are opportunities to contribute to creative writing journals or listen to visiting experts and authors. Our school is all about synergy, how we can expose our students to experiences that will prepare them for the paths they could take after their undergraduate careers.
Come see for yourself.
Yes, it's a great video. Actually, the thing is that it's a small campus. Definitely, it's a small campus with small number of students. But the main plus point of this campus is that they could have one-to-one session and one-to-one interaction with the professors. That's the big advantage of studying in Grenfell campus. So, April, first of all, I would like to start with you. And before that, I would like to say, all viewers, if you have any question regarding any program, any entry requirements, anything about the course details, about entry requirements, application process, anything, if you want to know anything, you can ask on our live session, and definitely we'll try to answer your question. Our representatives are here, they will be happy to answer your question. And one more thing I need to tell, that before making any question, just please mention your credentials, your results, your IELTS score, so that will help us to give you the correct answer. So April, first of all, I would like to have some discussion with you. The thing is that you know that Canada is one of the largest countries, the second largest country in the world, and we know pretty well why Canada could be the best option for higher studies. So I would like to know from you that what do you think, why Canada could be the best option or could be the better option for international students to pursue their higher studies?
Yeah, so there are a number of reasons I think why Canada could be a top study destination. Number one, the quality of education that you receive when studying at any recognized Canadian institution as well as Memorial. There's many research opportunities for students. Canada as a whole, it's a very safe country. And where we are specifically is even safer. So there's really no concerns about crime or safety at all. Canada offers students a lot of opportunity while they're studying as well. So while students are completing their degree program, they can work part-time. And then once they graduate from their program, they can apply for a post-study work permit. So if they want to remain in Canada and perhaps become a permanent resident or later immigrate, so those are some opportunities that Canada has. We, Grenfell, we also have some of the most affordable tuition in all of Canada. So that's another great reason why it would be a benefit to study with us.
Exactly, and one more thing, I know that the Canada is a country of opportunities. I would like to add with that. After, I mean, during study, I mean, after study, they will have the work opportunity over there, and they will have also to apply for permanent residency after having the work, I mean, work experience. So it's a great opportunity. So in Canada, they can, you know, that through study they can gain so many things. That's the advantage of studying in Canada. So, Thomas, I would like to ask you some matter like there are a lot of universities, no? So in public universities in Canada, there are 10 provinces, and each provinces have a lot of universities, public universities. So they're having different courses. So, I mean, why Memorial? I mean, what are the unique points of Memorial? Why people should consider Memorial as a university and as a location? Because so far we know that sometimes Newfoundland could not be a great choice as a destination. I mean, people sometimes they predict, they sometimes they feel confused that whether like Ontario, British Columbia, Nova Scotia, some other provinces, they are, you know, that they are very old provinces, but Newfoundland is not like that. It's one of the recent provinces. So I mean, in that case, how you will explain about this matter?
Yeah, absolutely. So April did mention a number of the advantages of studying at Memorial University, such as the tuition and the safety and that sort of thing. That said, like Memorial does have a whole lot to offer to international students. Again, April's response was very, very comprehensive, so I apologize if I repeat anything that she already said. But basically, like in terms of like comparing Memorial to other universities, Canada, we don't rank our universities in the way that a lot of other countries do. We don't, at least not in like an objective sort of way. So we don't really put our, we don't have like a number one, number two. Like we kind of have different parameters that we measure our universities by. That said, even though we don't have that sort of formal kind of ranking, most kind of experience polls and magazines, Maclean's is usually considered, the most comprehensive of the rankings. Most of those sorts of polls do put us usually in the top 10, usually around sixth in the country. So we do have, like you said, a very good reputation in the country, but also globally, especially in research. Memorial's research is recognized particularly as it relates to marine sciences. Our engineering program is highly recognized. There's a lot of great advantages there. As April mentioned, we do have the lowest tuition in Canada right now. For undergraduate studies, it's 11,460 Canadian dollars per year. So again, relative to other universities, you are getting a significantly more affordable education for a great quality education as well. The big thing, one of the questions that we often get is, okay, your tuition is $11,460. Why is that? And a big part of that, like you mentioned, we are a relatively new province, and one of the things that one of our goals as a province is to kind of increase population, that sort of thing. So, part of the government's, I guess, their logic, their spending ideology is to fund education, to encourage more and more people to come here. So the cost of our education is heavily subsidized by the government, which keeps the cost very, very low for both domestic and international students.
Okay, and what about the location of Grenfell campus? I mean, because there you have two campuses, right? One is St. John's and another one is Grenfell. So, I mean, people are really very well known to your main campus, I mean, St. John's campus. But how is your location? I mean,
Absolutely.
Grenfell campus, and how the city is, and I mean, students will feel comfortable over there or not? I mean, would you please explain this matter?
Absolutely. So I'm actually a Corner Brook native myself. I was born in St. John's, but I've lived in Corner Brook since I was about maybe 2 or 3 years old. I've been here for quite some time. Corner Brook is a very small city. It only has about 20,000 people, which I realize by Bangladeshi standards is quite small. That said, April mentioned the safety and the friendliness. People here are very, very welcoming of both domestic and international students. The crime rate here is very, very low. The violent crime rate is virtually non-existent, so it's very, very safe. you know, like we still, even though we are a small city, we still have access to all your basic amenities, you know, shopping and malls and that sort of thing. One of the big appeals of the location for us is that where we are located on the western coast of Newfoundland, we do have access to some of the most beautiful natural areas. Some people say in the country, I would argue the world. You know, it is a very beautiful place, and we have all 4 seasons: so spring, summer, winter, and fall. And when you go out, depending on the season, you're basically seeing completely different places everywhere you go. Just 2 hours away from here, we do have a national park, Grossmorn National Park. If you'd like to Google that after, you can see some beautiful pictures of the fjords and some of the touristy sort of things out there. But Grossmorn is a beautiful place. You know, we often, during orientation, we'll have trips for international students there. Sometimes we'll do summer trips, that sort of thing. There's all kinds of different opportunities to get out there. There are many trails and hiking areas around town that you can explore. Yeah, again, very beautiful place, and depending on the time of the year, you're looking at virtually a completely different area. In terms of multiculturalism, of course, Canada, you know, as a country, has a reputation for multiculturalism. Being a small town, of course, the local population is, you know, it's fairly typically Canadian, but our international student population has really changed the face of Corner Brook over the last couple of years. So we do have about 10 to 15% of our student population right now is made up of international students. So we do have a very strong, a small but strong international environment that students can kind of, you know, feel that at home with people from their own background or people from other backgrounds. So there is that opportunity there as well.
And how many international students do you have at this moment in the campus? 1,300.
Yeah, I don't have an exact count offhand, but I believe the last count was around 200, and I'm looking at April and Melissa just to verify this. It's around 200 at the moment.
Okay. And one more thing we need to know clearly, like, I mean, how far it is from the St. John's? I mean, by drive, how long it takes?
So there is about a 700-kilometer distance between the two, so it is quite a ways away. If you were to drive using your own vehicle, you're looking at between 7 or 8 hours, and if you take the bus, you're looking at about 10 hours. So there is
Is there any flight in between the two?
There is a flight as well. It's the flight is only about 1 hour, so it is the fastest of the ways. Of course, you know, in the interest of saving costs, most students usually do prefer to either drive or take the bus. But if you did wish to fly, you could take that option as well.
Okay, and if we would like to fly from Bangladesh, so we need to go to Toronto first, or I mean, how is the international flights?
Usually, if you're flying, most international students will transfer to Newfoundland from either Nova Scotia or Toronto. So usually you'll fly into the Toronto airport and then come from there to the Deer Lake Airport. Now, Deer Lake is about 45 minutes outside of Corner Brook, so when you land in Deer Lake, you will have to come from there to Corner Brook. Usually there's like a shuttle service that you can avail of there through one of the local cab companies. It's about 30 to 40 Canadian dollars to use, so you would pay your money there, and then they would transfer you to campus, and we would have someone on campus who who could welcome you and get you into your room and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So now I would like to go to April then, like about the courses. I mean, you have very fantastic programs, so far I know, especially in undergrad level in different faculties. So would you please explain about the program and courses you offer in Grenfell campus?
Yeah, so we have about 16 full degree programs. So we have a Bachelor of Arts, and within that program, we have majors in psychology or history, English, social cultural studies. And then we have our Bachelor of Business Administration program, which of course is one of the most popular programs among our Bangladesh students. So that one tends to be quite popular. We have a Bachelor of Fine Arts. Students can major in theater or visual arts. We have a Bachelor of Science. So within that program, our majors include environmental science. So nowadays there is such a focus on the environment. So that program will equip students with the skills to protect our environment. We also have general science. We have computational mathematics. We have physics, our physics program. We actually have the largest telescope in Atlantic Canada. So as a part of that program, students can take a number of courses in astronomy and use the telescope on a fairly regular basis. And then we also have a Bachelor of Environment and Sustainability with majors in environmental studies and resource management. So they're more looking at the policy and the environmental economics side of things, whereas environmental science looks more at the science of the environment. And we have a Bachelor of Nursing. So those would be all of our undergraduate degree programs. And then we do have 3 graduate programs as well.
Okay. So for 3 graduate program, in which subjects?
Our graduate programs would be a Master of Fine Arts in Visual Arts, a Master of Arts in Environmental Policy.
Policy.
Yeah, that's a very popular program.
Today I got an inquiry regarding the environment policy. The student was really interested for the environment policy. So can one students apply to that program, your environment policy?
Sorry, I missed the last part. Can what students?
No. I mean, the students, can they apply to your Masters of Environmental Policy, that program?
Absolutely. I can send you some of the requirements for that program after the presentation, like what specifically they're looking for. But the program is mostly made up of international students, so from all over the world.
Great. And the student I'm just talking about, he is having good Duolingo results. I mean, 130 he's having. And he's also have done GRE as well. So I don't think so. It will be not so tough to get admission. I will discuss definitely about him. Okay,
sure,
fine. Please,
that's good.
Yes, please carry on. Then next.
Sorry, yeah, and I think I missed one program. So the last one is a Master of Science in Agricultural Sciences.
Wow.
No, sorry. A Master of Science in Boreal Ecosystems and Agricultural Sciences. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Very good. So I think the agricultural students who have done the Bachelor in Agriculture, so they can easily join.
Yeah, I mean, like if they're qualified, they can definitely apply, and we can assess their application for them. Yeah,
okay, that's great. Actually, we are really, we are sending applications for undergrad. We forgot about the master's program, but you have very fantastic and unique 3 master's program, because sometimes that the agricultural student, like environment, sometimes the other universities, sometimes we don't find. But in your university, these programs are really unique in master's level. So I would like to have some specific question on your bachelor program, because you know that, as you said, that from Bangladesh, most of the students, they are preferring to go to business. But apart from business, there are some more interest in some other courses like computer science, then engineering. So sometimes they want to do some courses like biomedical science, biochemistry. Like these courses they want to do, especially computer science and engineering. So in that case, what Grenfell campus is offering?
So at Grenfell, students can complete their first year of engineering with us, but then their remaining 4 years would have to be completed at the St. John's campus. So if they wanted to come and study in that smaller campus environment, have those smaller engineering classes for their first year, because they do tend to be a little bit more challenging courses. But then after that first year, they would have to go on to the St. John's campus to finish the program. Computer science, I guess it is possible if a student wanted to come here first, but there is specific computer science courses that a student needs to take in their first year in order to continue on. So if they're really interested in computer science, they should be going directly to the St. John's campus, unless they're willing to add an additional year to their program. It would take them longer to complete if they came to Grenfell first.
That's great. And now we'd like to talk about the requirements. The admission requirements for all programs, bachelor and masters. Like what should be the academic average for entry requirements for entry to those programs, and what will be the English proficiency requirement for all these programs? April.
I'm up. Okay, just 1 second. Thomas, if you want to take the lead while I pull something up.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Thomas, please. Yes.
So in general, regardless of a student's country of origin, we usually require the student to have studied 5 subject areas at what would be the equivalent of the 12th grade level. So those 5 areas are English, mathematics, lab science, which would be biology, chemistry, or physics, a language or social study, either one, and then one more academic elective that you can use. Now, if you're applying for a program that doesn't require one of those areas, then we can waive up to one of those requirements, but we will require the other 4. So the only exception there is English. English is going to be required for all 5. For all programs, sorry. So, for example, if you're applying for a science degree, we can potentially waive the requirement of a language or social study. If you're applying for an arts degree, we can waive either the math or the science, but not both. We need at least one of them. So you will be required to have a minimum of those a minimum of credits in those 5 areas. Depending on the school system, that will determine the grade that you have or that you will be required to maintain. So for most, it would be the equivalent of, I believe, a 70% by the Canadian standard. Again, it'll differ from school system to school system. For applicants coming from the UK system, we do require a minimum of 3 AS level courses or 2 A level courses with a minimum grade of C, and I'm looking at April to verify that.
Yeah, that's right. I just wanted to add about students who are graduating from Bangladesh with the higher secondary certificate. So those 5 courses that Thomas mentioned, we would need a minimum of B on those courses. And Thomas mentioned that we can waive some. And I would just like to point out one more thing, that if a student is interested in business, we can waive the math requirement if they want to study with us at Grenfell. So
That's great.
Yeah, so we will waive that math requirement as long as they have a suitable replacement.
Yes, because in St. John's they won't be getting that opportunity without maths. That's the Grenfell accepting. This is a very good thing. But the thing is that for that we have, we have both British curriculum and also the national curriculum, like that is HSC. HSC means the higher secondary. So in that case, how much percentage do you require? I mean, 50, 65 or 70, or what should be the percentage?
So for the HSC, it just like on our admission requirements, it just says a minimum of B in the required subject area. So the letter grade B.
B means like 65%. So far I know actually. So
okay.
65% exactly. And what about the IELTS or English proficiency requirement?
Yeah, with IELTS, so we do accept students who don't have IELTS. That said, you are still required to have proof of English proficiency through some form of standardized tests. If you do use IELTS, the minimum is a 6.5 overall for your IELTS score, with a minimum of 6 in reading and 6 in writing. So you need both of those as well as the overall. We are temporarily accepting Duolingo because we do understand that, of course, with the current COVID situation, their IELTS tests can be quite difficult to get. For students who apply using the Duolingo exam, we do expect a minimum score of 115, so you can apply that way. That said, if you don't meet the English proficiency requirement, then our friend Melissa down here in the corner, she can.
We'll go to her now, but I just now I have a question that you told me that reading and writing they should have 6. So other bands, if they have 5.5, is that okay?
That'd be okay as long as the overall is 6.5.
Okay, that's okay. So now we'll go to Melissa because now her part has come. So I just want to know from you, Melissa, that if they cannot fulfill the IELTS requirement, or if they don't have IELTS, definitely you have a very good ESL offer. So you need to finish like what kind of ESL program you are offering if they don't have IELTS, and if they have less point in their IELTS score, how many terms they need to do, and what will be the fees, and what are the semester? I mean, what are the intakes you offer for ESL?
Okay, that was a lot of questions all in a row. You might have to remind me about which of those questions you want me to answer. So first of all, just to reiterate what they've indicated, and we'll speak only in terms of IELTS, but if people have questions in terms of TOEFL minimum scores, we can use that as a reference point too. But specifically in terms of IELTS, if you're missing that 6.5 overall, you're missing your sub scores. We do recommend our English as a second language program. We call it a bridge program. Now, I know all of you are thinking, I'm not going to do that program. I'm going to rewrite the IELTS every month until I'm blue in the face, until I get that score. And I'm going to encourage you not to do that, because students who rewrite the IELTS again and again and again get really good at writing the IELTS, but they don't necessarily become very good at being undergraduate students. And we've heard this directly from undergraduate students who have rewritten the IELTS until they got the score they were looking for. And some of the students who say, okay, I will go to the English Bridge program, they tell us afterwards they're glad they did it because it gave them a foundation. It actually made them ready to be undergraduate students. We have Canadian students saying they wish they had taken the Bridge program because it gets the students ready to be successful so that their GPA doesn't tank in the first semester when they're trying to keep up with a full course load. So we have 2 levels of our Bridge program. Level 1, that's if you have like a 5.5 IELTS. And we're really looking at your writing score. Writing is the skill that you need to have really, really strong in order to be successful as an undergraduate and graduate student. So we're going to look really closely at your scores, particularly your writing score. And if you're in that 5.5 range, we're going to welcome you into our level 1 of our Bridge program. You're going to take 20 hours per week of of English and language instruction time, and you get to take 1 undergraduate study course. So it'll be an intro 1000 level course. It's valued at 3 credits that you can apply towards your degree. So for example, maybe you'll take business 1000 because you're planning to get a business degree, and you can apply that directly towards one of the requirements for your degree. When you get into the level 2 situation, now you're only taking 15 hours of English language instruction time. You get to take 2 undergraduate courses. So maybe you're taking psychology 1000 as an elective, and you're taking tourism 1000, which could also go towards your business degree, your arts degree, whatever it is you're looking for. We're going to make sure whatever credit you're earning while you're in Bridge is definitely going to apply towards your degree. We don't want to slow you down. We just want to be part of that process of getting you ready. So that level 2 situation that I described with the 2 undergraduate courses, you have to have a 6 in your IELTS to get into that program. And again, we're going to want to make sure that you have a 6 in writing as well. So you said, how many terms are you going to need? It really depends on where you come in. If you come in at a 5.5, we're going to recommend you plan for 2 semesters of ESL, but we give you the chance to skip. So if you do level 1 and you do well, and we give you an exit exam and you do well in the exit exam, you get to skip level 2 and go straight into undergraduate study. We won't hold you back. Did I answer all of your questions? There was one more. Cost, maybe?
No, I mean, if someone has no IELTS, then what kind of level he will do?
No IELTS is a little bit tricky, but we have some flexibility. So as Thomas mentioned, if you have no IELTS, but you have a TOEFL, we'll use that score. But I'm going to be looking for a lot of information.
I'm talking about if no IELTS, no TOEFL, nothing.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
Someone has no English proficiency results, then what he will do?
Yeah, so typically what we would do is encourage them to apply for our intensive English program, not our Bridge program, because that way they can just come in and do only English courses before we allow them into the undergraduate courses. So ultimately, it's better for them to take a Bridge, to take an IELTS, especially now that we're accepting Duolingo, and there's a lot of, that's a pretty affordable option online. And to go right into the Bridge levels, it's indicated in your offer letter too that you're going to start taking undergraduate courses, so that kind of looks favorable too.
Exactly. And one more thing, without IELTS, there is no possibility that there will be less possibility of getting visa as well. So that's another important part. And I have a question that I have asked you that about the tuition fees of all the levels. I mean, what are the tuition fees you are offering, and what are the intakes? I mean, you have 3 intakes. So I mean, what are the intakes you offer for ESL?
Okay, I'll do the fees first because I keep forgetting that question. So I'm going to say that one first. So the level 1, so that's when we're talking about doing 20 hours of English language instruction, 1 undergraduate course. You'll pay 2,930 Canadian dollars for your program fees. But of course, you also pay tuition for the undergraduate course because you're earning those 3 credits. So that's the same tuition rate for the course, which is 1,146 Canadian dollars. Of course, there's a couple fees here and there, but overall, as both of my colleagues have said, we have the most affordable tuition in Canada. So even when you factor in those minimal fees, we're still coming in lower than other Canadian universities. So that's a level 1. If you look at level 2, you're going to be looking at 2,250 Canadian dollars. That's just for your ESL time. And then you pay that undergraduate tuition, the 1,146. You pay it twice because you're taking 2 undergraduate courses because you're gaining that credit towards your degree. You asked about intake. So typically our main intakes, and I would say this more or less goes for undergrad and ESL, September and January are the 2 larger intakes, with September being our largest intake. We also have we're working towards having more summer intake for ESL, but given the unique situation that we're in right now with COVID-19, we're in the process of putting our ESL program online. So students can then meet proficiency through our program and earn credit without even having to leave Bangladesh. So if they want to look ahead to a winter 21 or even a fall 21 arrival in Canada, we can work them through getting some of that credit as pre-intake students, as pre-admit students, and then having them show up in September 21 ready to be full-time undergraduate students.
Exactly. So, I mean, students who cannot fly at this moment for September intake, so definitely they can start their ESL program online and they can finish it off from his home country and they can join. So, Melissa, thank you so much for your good explanation, and definitely now we'll give you a break. So we'll come to April. We'll come to April now. So April, already we have came to know about the courses programs you're offering in postgrad and undergrad level. So now we'd like to know about the tuition fees of all these courses like undergrad and postgrad, and also how the payment policy. I mean, what kind of installments? I mean, how many installments you are offering for them to pay the fees?
So tuition for undergraduate students, as we mentioned a bit earlier, it's the lowest in Canada. So 11,460 Canadian dollars. If a student is coming and they want to take a full course load, they want to live on campus, their health insurance, their books and supplies, everything for the year is about 21,000 Canadian dollars. And how that fee is paid, it's paid per semester. So half that would be due the first day of classes in September. The other half will be due the first day of classes in January. So a little over probably about $10,000 per semester. That's for the undergraduate students. The graduate students, so I do apologize because we are just primarily undergraduate recruitment officers and a recruitment office. So I'm not as familiar with the graduate fees, but they are much lower. I'm correct in saying that, right, Thomas? Because I know you've been dealing a little bit about that. Your mic.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I believe it's 16 a semester. I can certainly check that to verify. But yeah, it's usually a little bit lower per semester than the undergrad.
Okay. So I mean, one thing I feel that you have said the 21,000. It is including living expenses. I mean, is it including hostel and all these things?
Yeah, so that would be including if they were living on campus. So students can choose to live on campus, or they can get an apartment off campus. Now, to be honest with you, it seems like a lot of our students from Bangladesh do tend to get apartments off campus. So a few of them will get together and they'll rent an apartment and cook their own meals. So sometimes that can be a little bit more affordable if there's a few, 3 or 4 students grouping together to share those costs.
Exactly. Now, Thomas, I would like to say one thing that about your accommodation options. Like, I know that you have both I mean, housing, I mean, on-campus and off-campus accommodation options. So, I mean, would you please tell what kind of accommodation options you have, and what will be the cost? And if they stay in off-campus, then how will be the average cost?
Absolutely. So this is actually, it's good that you asked me this question. I prior to taking this job, I actually worked with housing, so I am very familiar with like the residences themselves. I just moved out of the building about 6 months ago, so it's I've experienced living there myself. There are 3 sites located on campus for residents. We have the Arts and Science residence, which is kind of it's a building attached directly to the buildings with the classroom. So if you live in that building, then you can theoretically leave your room and never have to go outside to get to your classes, which for students who aren't particularly big fans of the winter, that's always a great option. All the rooms in that building are semi-private, and what that means is that your bedroom is completely yours. So you go in, you have your bed, your storage space, all that sort of thing. You have a shared porch with one other person, and as well as a shared bathroom. So that piece of it is shared, but your bedroom is completely private. That one is sorry, I've got the number here in front of me. That one is $1,700 per semester, so it's quite affordable. Next level up from that is the residence complex, which is $1,950 a semester. The room structure is almost identical. It's just, of course, it is a newer building. It was only built around 2013, 2014. So the room is a little bit of a higher quality. The walls are a little thicker, so sound travels even less up there. The floors do tend to be a bit bigger, so your common lounge on your floor is going to be a bit bigger than the lounges in the Arts and Science residence. But again, semi-private. Everything is very very private for studying, or if you just want time alone, then you only have that one roommate and your bedroom is completely separate. So if the roommate is talking, cool, we're just going to lock them out, but at the same time you still have the option of socializing there. The third option is the chalets, which average around 1,800 per. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. The chalets are 1,900. The residence complex is 1,800. The chalets are 1,950 a semester. Those ones are shared apartments for 4 students. You have a shared kitchen and a shared living room, as well as 1.5 bathrooms to share. But then you have 4 private bedrooms within. So all of our residences on campus are private in that way. One thing I should note about the chalets is that they're generally reserved for students in second year and beyond. So usually we don't have first year students living in the chalets, but in rare circumstances we may move someone over there. That's kind of just a general overview of the sites themselves. Each floor and chalet site also has 2 residence advisors or residence assistants. So their goal is basically to be student leaders on the floors, and they'll organize monthly events for all the students living in residence. So there's a really strong student housing community there. On top of that, the actual housing staff themselves, like the folks down in the office, are extremely supportive. If you have any questions, any concerns, maybe you have a difficulty with your roommate, that sort of thing, lots and lots of opportunities there to kind of to have your voice heard and to get involved on campus through housing. So that's an option there. Next, you also asked about off-campus housing. So off-campus housing, as April said, can be a little bit more. Usually it's a bit more costly, depending on I guess, the type of location that you want to live. That is going to determine your price, as well as if you're going to be sharing it. If you were to get an apartment by yourself, it can be quite expensive. You're probably looking at anywhere from 600 to 900 Canadian a month, which obviously is very steep compared to some of the other options you may have. On top, and that would just be for rent. On top of that, you also have to factor in utilities, which, depending on time of year, can be as low as $50 a month and as high as $200, especially if you have your heat going during winter. You have to factor in the cost of internet, for example, furniture, that sort of thing. As April mentioned, if you have a group and you'd like to kind of get together and live with a group of folks, then that can definitely offset your cost. What we usually recommend is for first-year students, we do try to push to get people to stay on campus.
For on campus, I have a specific question here, like how they will cook on campus. I mean, is there any meals system offered by the university, or they can cook by themselves?
So we have both. We do have both. There is a meal plan in place, but it's not mandatory. One of the differences between St. John's and Grenfell campus is that the St. John's campus does have a meal plan that's mandatory. We have an optional meal plan that's about $2,500 a semester, so you can use that. And basically, that would be like your standard meal plan. There are cheaper ones and more expensive ones, depending on how much you eat. So you can avail of that, and it's offered through our campus dining hall, The Grove. In terms of cooking for yourself and preparing your own meals, every residence floor does come equipped with its own kitchen. So, like I said, the res complex kitchens do tend to be a little bit bigger because the floors have more people. The arts and science kitchens have about, I believe it's 3 stoves per floor, and then the res complex has, I think, 7 stoves per floor. And it may differ from floor to floor, but that would be like an average.
Yes, and we really have a very good video, a short video of your housing and accommodation. So let's have that video, okay? So I think people will understand more about your accommodation options.
My name is Tony, and I'm a Bachelor of Arts student from Newfoundland. I'm also a residence assistant here at Grenfell, Memorial University's West Coast campus. Half of our students choose to live on campus because it's safe, affordable, and most importantly, fun. Let me show you around. There are 2 types of living spaces here on campus. This is our residence complex. There are 200 students living here, including local students and students from all over the world. Privacy is very important to me, and sometimes I just need a quiet place to study. Here at Grenfell, every student gets their very own spacious bedroom and shares a bathroom with only one person. I'm here in one of our residence lounges. As you can see, you can cook all of your own meals here, and there's one of these on every floor. This area is also the hub of activities for all of the students who live here. During the term, you'll have the chance to participate in events put off by your residence assistants like me, as well as your residence council. This is the other option for residence life, a chalet. These self-contained apartments have 4 bedrooms and 1.5 baths. This is a great option if you have a group of friends you want to live with, but still want to be involved in campus life and live a few minutes walk from classes, the library, the Grove Dining Hall, and the Backlot Student Lounge. And remember, since you'll be attending Grenfell campus, you'll have access to countless hiking and walking trails, Rosemore National Park, Marble Mountain, as well as countless other amenities all within your backyard. While living on campus, you have the opportunity to participate in on-campus activities, enjoy off-campus life, and meet the people that you'll remember forever.
Yes, it's a fantastic view of your on-campus options. Really fantastic. And now, April, I would like to discuss about something about the scholarship opportunities in Memorial. So, especially in Grenfell campus, what kind of scholarship, entrance scholarship, and merit scholarship do you offer for international students?
So students who apply, generally it's by the March 1st deadline. They'll be considered for scholarships that range between $3,000 and $6,000. Unfortunately, they aren't guaranteed, so they go by students who have the highest marks. We don't really have a threshold because the number varies from year to year. So those are just the entrance scholarships. Once students are enrolled at Memorial, there's an opportunity to apply for more scholarships within the program that they're studying. And as I mentioned earlier, that while students are completing their studies, they can work part-time so they can gain some extra money to help support themselves.
Exactly. And what about the co-op opportunities? Because in Canada, co-op is a very popular thing. Most of the universities, they have co-op in their all programs. I mean, especially in undergrad level mostly. So, I mean, do you offer co-op in your undergrad programs?
So unfortunately at the Grenfell campus, our programs do not include co-op. If a student was interested in engineering, for example, so they could potentially do their first year with us at Grenfell and then go on to the St. John's campus, there are mandatory co-ops within that program. So students would have to do a minimum of 4 work terms, but they can do as many as 6. So they're very well-paid work terms, and students are getting really relevant work experience working with different employers across Canada and even around the world. So there are a few of the programs at the St. John's campus do have mandatory work terms, so that would include like engineering, the commerce program, and then there's some other programs where co-op would be optional, such as computer science. There are other programs, for example, Grenfell's nursing program. So students don't do a co-op per se, but they do have to do a clinical and internships. So again, they're getting that relevant work experience to prepare them for life after graduation, but they wouldn't get paid for it.
Great. And Thomas, like you know that from South Asia, from India, from other countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, so people from South Asia, when they prefer Canada to study, so they always look for the part-time jobs, and they always look for a good city. I mean, good city means like where they can get job easily. So how about the options in Grenfell campus, on campus and off campus job? Is it quite available, the part-time jobs can they do?
Absolutely. So usually in first year, most students will find work in the service industry, in the restaurant business, that sort of thing, customer service, any number of those sorts of different opportunities. Those sorts of businesses usually hire international students relatively easily. So most students, don't have too much trouble finding work there. The thing about studying in Canada is, regardless of where in the country you study, your work permit usually enables you to, your study permit usually enables you to work up to 20 hours off campus and an unlimited number of hours on campus. So you do have that limitation, or there is a 20-hour limitation. But even with that limitation, students usually don't have too much difficulty finding work. During break periods, so if you stay during the summer and winter breaks, for example, then you can use those periods. That 20-hour limit is actually lifted, so you could work theoretically up to 40 or even more hours during those times. In terms of on-campus employment, on-campus jobs usually pay a little bit better than the off-campus ones, so you do have that advantage there. There are a wide variety of different positions. So, for example, you could be a research assistant, a lab assistant. The French lab is again, a very popular choice. You can work for the campus library, the campus bookstore. The various offices on campus frequently hire international students for different sorts of administrative help positions. The 2 positions on campus that I would say are most popular with international students. Number 1, I'll look to Melissa for this one, is ESL discussion leading. It's actually how I got my start working with international students, was through that program. So for a few hours a week, you'll effectively work with other students learning English. You'll sit down with them. You'll be given a variety of topics, some conversational pieces, and basically you'll talk with them and help them with their conversational English skills. So it's a really, really great opportunity there. The other opportunity that a lot of international students tend to take advantage of is working with student housing. So in the video you just showed, there was a young girl named Tony. Tony's actually a good friend of mine, so she's a residence advisor. Those roles, like I said, international students make up about 10 to 15% of our student population. However, they have made up about 30% of our RAs and CAs over the last couple of years. That position attracts international students, one, because it's a support position for other students who, for example, are experiencing homesickness or difficulty with adapting to university. And I think part of the reason that international students tend to get hired so frequently for that is that who has a better sense of what it means to be away from home than a student who is literally half a world away from what they're used to, right? So we feel that international students are prime candidates for those sorts of roles. In addition to a semesterly stipend with the student housing position, you also get the advantage of a multitude of types of training. So you get mental health first aid, medical first aid, conflict resolution, lots and lots of training that can look great on a resume. But the big appeal for that for a lot of students is that you also get your housing for the semester paid for, and you do get a fully private room if you are successfully hired as an RA or a CA. So we do hire 16 of them every semester, so it is a very competitive job to get into, but again, it is a great opportunity for on-campus employment.
Exactly. And April, just we need to have another important discussion. Like Newfoundland, so far we know that it's an Atlantic province, right? So far I know. So there is a immigration program which is called AIPP. So far I know, actually I'm not sure. So is there some program is there like AIPP, Atlantic Immigration Provincial Program or something like that? That is like very quickly they can apply for PR, something like options. I'm not sure actually. Would you please explain this matter?
I'm gonna look to both Thomas and Melissa for all of us to kind of dive in here. It's the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Project.
Pilot project, exactly. Yes,
I'm correct in saying that.
Yes.
Do you want to describe it a little bit better? I feel
yes,
like
I just want to know a few things about it, because so far I know that after graduation, most of the provinces like they need to have work experience. But so far I know that in AIPP program, so after finishing the program within 6 months, they can apply for PR if they have the job offer
with specific employers. So it's not just across the board that you could get any kind of job. It has to be sponsored through a specific employer.
Okay.
But generally speaking, I mean, none of us are really authorized to speak about it, but it's true that the AIPP, the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, does exist. It is tied to specific types of employment and specific employers, and it does sort of create sort of a fast track to permanent residency within the Atlantic Canadian provinces. And Thomas, you want to add to that as well?
Yes.
Yeah, no, you basically kind of covered the majority of what I was thinking. There is a set list of employers who have contracts with AIPP that you can work with. Now that said, if an employer doesn't have a contract with AIPP, I believe through working with that employer and with like a local representative such as the Association of New Canadian, it is possible to have a company who isn't currently signed on with the IPP, the employer can sign on, but of course that is, I can't really get into the specifics of that because like I said, I'm not a representative of that program, but there are opportunities there for fast track PR within a year of graduation.
Exactly. And how are the opportunities? I mean, after graduation, because as a new province, I mean, I think Newfoundland is the latest province among all 10 provinces. So in compared to compared to Ontario, British Columbia and other provinces, what are the job opportunities after graduation over there? How many companies, I mean what kind of companies you have, and how is the opportunity over there? People can stay and join companies over there.
So some of the biggest employers for us, number one right now is probably the medical field. So particularly students coming out of the nursing program, most of them will find work very, very easily in whether it's a hospital or a nursing home, that sort of thing. Medical programs are extremely strong, and even medical research in St. John's. Like we mentioned at the beginning, MUN's medical research is quite strong and does have quite a reputation across the country. So you can find lots of work there. Next would be, I would say, engineering is another strong candidate for employability. There's a number of companies, particularly in the resource sector, that are regularly hiring engineers and folks with science backgrounds to work for their agencies. So we do have quite those two are probably your two biggest ones. Beyond that, natural resources again is a fairly strong industry. Working with government, that sort of area. Working in Oh my gosh, sorry, brain just kind of fried there for a second. Coming back to the university, a lot of our, we do have a number of international students who actually come back to work with the university, either in research positions, or to give you an example, one of our recruiters actually at the St. John's campus did his business, he started at Grenfell in the business program, switched to St. John's and did the commerce program out there. He's actually currently working as a recruiter for us now, so there are opportunities there on that end.
And can I just add as well, there's a lot of opportunity in our province for entrepreneurship, and particularly amongst the newcomer population. So as you were kind of saying before, our province is really pushing for settlement and long-term residency in this province. So they're really, really supportive of newcomers who are interested in starting businesses. And so there's a lot of programs and funding there. And one in particular that's worth mentioning here is the Atlantic Canada Study and Stay program, which actually links students with, it's like a networking opportunity. So they have training, but also mentorship connection programs so that they can start to penetrate that sort of ecosystem of entrepreneurship and the business community as a student, so that they can sort of expedite any plans for creating and establishing local businesses as well after graduation.
Exactly. And Melissa, now we are getting more confidence after, after that, when you say it. So very strong you said, and really we are now feeling confidence. So April, the thing is that we are just at the final stage of our live session, but we have missed one important point about the application process, which is very important. That what is the application process of Memorial University? That what kind of documents you require, and what will be the application process to take admission?
Yeah, so students can apply directly on our website online, or I'm assuming they can go to your office and seek your assistance in submitting the online application. There is a $120 Canadian application fee that has to be paid by credit card once the student applies. So in normal circumstances, we would require students to mail in all official documents, but because our campuses are closed, the preferred method right now is to email in their documents. I'm assuming, Saeed, you have the email. So it is admiss, so admiss.docs@mun.ca, and I'll just write it in the comment section after so students can have it. Once we receive all of the students' official documents, then a decision will be made on their application. Everything is, we correspond through email to the student, so we just encourage students to keep checking their email. We are still accepting applications for most programs for the fall semester. Everything except our nursing or fine arts programs. So if a student is still interested in applying for business or science course, definitely they can still go ahead and apply. And the fall semester is going to be offered remotely due to COVID-19. So students wouldn't actually need to come here and study. They can begin their studies in Bangladesh.
Okay, and how long you take to issue the offer letter normally for undergrad?
So we say that really depends on the student. So if the student applies and they send in all of their documents, once we have a complete package on that student, it doesn't tend to take very long. Oftentimes we'll get students inquiring about their application, wondering why we haven't made a decision, and we'll look and they're missing the proof of English proficiency or they're missing a transcript. Once we have a complete package, it's usually done in about 10 business days or so. Now, of course, there are times throughout the year when that number can vary around the application deadline of March 1st. When there's a huge amount of applications, it can tend to be a little bit longer, but generally about 10 business days for general admission. So if a student is applying for engineering, for example, we need to evaluate their application to the university first to see if they're eligible. And then their application gets moved on to the engineering department, and then they'll be evaluated for that program.
Exactly, and I think, Melissa, there is some additional options to applying to ESL course. Those who don't have IELTS enough scores. So I think for ESL, would you please tell me that what will be the additional application process for ESL?
Sure. So if you don't meet the necessary requirements to go directly into undergraduate study, then you are expected to complete an application. It's just a very simple form. We'll already have your IELTS scorecard on file because you've already submitted it as part of your undergrad application. And yeah, we can usually get those letters out very quickly, as long as, I mean, even within a day, as long as we have your transcripts. And so what happens is you're issued 2 letters. So that's how your application for the study permit and visa process will go. You'll have a provisional acceptance to undergraduate study because our admissions office has already said, okay, you have the academic background to come into our institution. And then you have a final and full acceptance for the ESL program. So the dates on those 2 letters will demonstrate to an immigration officer that you actually have a full plan for how you're going to go from your current situation and into completion of an undergraduate degree.
Okay, that's great. So, I mean, April, Thomas, that how we were maintaining the present situation, the enrollment process and class schedule. I mean, how you are maintaining all these, because the students are waiting for September at this moment. But I mean, what is your future plan? I mean, how it could be?
Yeah, so like we mentioned, like we are switching to remote delivery for September. So this is actually a very, very new announcement. I believe the official announcement only came out yesterday. So we are still kind of working some of the details of that over the next couple of days and weeks. That said, we are attempting to do everything that we can to maintain kind of our usual work efficiency rate. So we are trying to stay on top of that to the best that we can given the circumstances. But for now, I mean, if students do have questions about that process, there is a news release that can be found on the MUN website that details the current information that we have. And if they have any questions beyond that, then they can contact us directly, and we'd be happy to kind of ease any concerns that they may have about, you know, where's my application, or you know, what happened to this document, or any sort of questions. We'd be happy to field in that way.
Exactly, and April, that we are just end of the session. We have only 2-3 minutes. So April, I'd like to know that that in Grenfell campus there is a limitation of courses, because all the courses student can get admission over there because of you have limited subjects over there. So do you have any plan? I mean, is there any plan to add more courses in future in Grenfell campus? Is there any plan, something?
Do you mean more like full degree programs or more courses?
More like bachelor courses.
I mean, that's always something that tends to be in the works. I do know there are some proposals for a few new graduate level programs. Okay. I'm unaware of anything at the undergraduate level now, and there's nothing official, so I wouldn't really be able to say much about it. But there are definitely some new graduate programs coming.
Very good, because actually Memorial, the main campus, St. John, it's a very competitive campus nowadays. I mean, people are rushing over there now. I mean, though they are not getting chance sometimes because of the huge traffic over there. Now I think it's time to less some traffic and remove some traffic from there to you, because otherwise that people are applying to Memorial but they are not getting admission letter because of the huge traffic. And your budget is really very affordable, your fees are really very affordable, so people first target is Memorial. So that's why we are expecting some more courses at Grenfell campus, so that also we feel comfortable to apply for them. So let's hope for the best. So Thomas, any last point or anything you would like to share that we forgot to discuss? Anything could you remember? Or
no, I think we covered most of what we kind of came out here to discuss. That said, I mean, like I just mentioned, if students do have any questions or potential applicants have any questions, we are always open to fielding those questions. Most likely, your general inquiries will go through me. If it's specific to ESL, it'll go through Melissa. But again, our inboxes are always open, and we are constantly looking, to try to serve you guys as best as we can. And of course, speak, for the applicants out there, like, go to Prominent Consultant, get in touch with them, and they can kind of walk you through the process of getting to us, pretty much.
Exactly. And April, any last word you would like to share to Bangladesh students?
I'd just like to echo what Thomas said, and I'd also like to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you haven't tuned in, maybe you'll see us a little bit later on the Facebook page. And yeah, just if you have any questions, either reach out to Saeed or one of us, and we would be happy to help you.
Thank you so much. Melissa, any last word you'd like to share?
No, thank you very much for having us live on your broadcast here today. And I just wanted to say we've had the pleasure of hosting several students from Bangladesh in our programs and on our campus. And we love our Bangladeshi students. They bring a really great energy to our campus. We've learned a lot about Bangladesh in the last few years since we've seen more students coming from that part of the world. And we have just been completely charmed by our students from Bangladesh so far. Looking forward to
Exactly. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all of you for joining this live session. And truly, it was a very informative and very attractive live session. It will be published in our YouTube channel as well. So whenever people wants to see the live session, they can see anytime. And of course, we are always expecting you in our country very soon. I mean, if the situations are becoming normal, so definitely we'll be welcoming you as well in Bangladesh. And thanks for your all supports towards Prominent, and definitely we are really proud to be a part of Memorial University. So we are just going to end of the live session right now. And April, Thomas, and Melissa, just be there. I'll be joining with you in the studio. Just we are just leaving the Facebook platform. Okay. Thank you so much. So dear viewers, good night. Good night. Stay safe. Stay in home and be positive. Be motivated. Okay, and try to apply for a global education. Thank you so much.